and I'll be discussing on the topic common childhood disorders and their assessment under the guidance of Ms. Supervisor, Ms. Pragya ma'am. So I'll be speaking about it in this session altogether. Okay. So the contents that I'll be discussing about will be the activity, the child development, the developmental disorders, the childhood disorders, the common disorders, the assessments, the family, communication, the role of the educators, conclusion, as well as the references. To start with the session altogether, I'll be starting with an activity that is a person-centered story, that is what it feels like to live with a child with a disorder for a day. I would request you, whatever is your first thought, it could be something positive, it could be something negative, it could be something challenging. Just write it down or just say it, whatever it is. Positive, it could be like, okay, I got a new opportunity by God, that, okay, I have to deal with a special child altogether. Or challenging, it could be that at this stage also I have to learn or relearn again for the child. And for negative aspect, if I speak about, it could be it is so traumatizing, it could be so stressful that will they be able to do certain things in life or not, or will I be always taking care of them. So whatever thought comes in mind, just write it down on some piece of paper, so that to the end of the session we can discuss if there whatever thoughts were there, were there any changes or were the same. Okay, so I hope you might have written down. So let's start with the session. Okay, so what exactly is child development? So if I talk about child development, it is basically a complex process that is determined by the biological brain development, influence that is part of the quality of interaction that the child has with others. So as a child grows up, the quality of the interaction, that the peers that they have, the environment that they have, somewhere or the other affects him and acquiring of the new skills that they'll be having in. Examples could be the motor movement skills, the communication speech skills, the social interaction, or the play and learn skills that they're exactly going through. But why do we exactly feel that the child should be having effect on these certain areas, and why not they should be given more time, and why do we expect that by certain age they should be able to do certain tasks only, rather than just give them as much time as we want? But as the society development ask, or certain people develop the theories that are designed in, so we'll be discussing about them, how the disorders, developmental disorders, we can identify that, okay, if the child basic certain basic certain ways are exactly given, that okay, by this age the child must be able to do this certain task, or by this age the child must be able to do certain particular task, like by the age of 18 months the child must be able to do this, and by the age of 24 months also the child must be able to do this. And how exactly it is being influenced was given by one of the psychologists, Erikson Sages of psychosocial development, that talks about that, okay, by this age certain issues, if the child is not treated with that particular problem, there's certain issues that might develop and might reflect even in the adulthood, like in the stage of infancy, that is till 1 year, wherein trust or mistrust, when the child is basically dependent and is trying to develop the basic trust, like for example the basic trust of love, the basic trust of belongingness. The child is coming to you and you are saying no, no, you call them and then you say no. The child develops a mistrust that, okay, whenever I'm approaching this person or my mother or my father, and the child says no, they are saying that okay, come to me, and then they're saying no, their child is facing a mistrust issue. In toddler, that is 1 to 3 years, autonomy versus shame and doubt is exactly developed, wherein the child says they try to do certain things on their own. For example, they may try drawing on the walls of their home, or they might try, rather than just saying no, you can just direct them that okay, do a drawing, maybe you can do the draw on the color book or something like that. In preschool, when it's 3 to 6 years, they have issues like initiative versus guilt. So like they try to initiate tasks and carry out the plans on their own. Like they might like to go for a picnic, but you say no. But they always feel that whenever I go and ask and I try to take certain things on my own, the answer is always no. That makes feel the child that okay, I'm always guilty, and they feel that there's no independence that is given according to my age. My other peers are given. Whereas elementary school, 6 years to puberty, the child developed issues like industry versus inferiority, when the child learn The pleasure by applying themselves is a task. They want to try certain new things. They want to develop certain new things. If they're not able to, they start feeling inferior, that am I not that capable, or why am I not given that chance again? I'm trying to apply whatever the surroundings they are learning in. So it's not only learning that is the vicious learning or the observational learning. They are learning through various ways, by modeling, by applying certain things, the role models that they have, every way they're learning it, and they want to try applying it. And adolescence also, the identity versus role confusion that comes up, wherein they try that, okay, they try developing the sense of self, wherein they know that, okay, I have my own identity, and I actually need to work upon it. In young adulthood, that is 20s to early 40s, intimacy versus isolation happens in, wherein they start developing close relationship with people. They want to be seen. Otherwise they feel they are socially isolated. And why are we exactly developing the psychosocial development stages? That because as we discussed, that the child develops not only on certain aspects, they develop wholly, as whatever the child develops in the childhood era itself, like the 1 year till 3 years, if they develop certain things, that is being carried out in the adult stage also, and that might be seen in the future also. So developing, having a healthier bond at home, the environment that they're dealing with is exactly as crucial to discuss certain places. That's why Erikson stages psychosocial development are being discussed here. So the how does emotional development early childhood here plays in. So as a young child learns to understand, express, and manage their feelings, how they exactly forms relationship with others exactly plays a crucial role here. And how does it? Because here the child is not only recognizing how their emotions are being expressed, like happiness, anger, fear. Not along that, they're also able to understand the other person's emotion, or they're able to regulate their emotional responses accordingly. But how so do we realize that, okay, are they able to do it according to their particular age, or they're not able to? And is it correct that they're recognizing it, or is it a disorder? So I'll be discussing about each disorder now, that how exactly there are certain traits according to it that they should be developing it, or are they able to identify in. So there are certain common disorders like conduct disorder, ADHD, autism, intellectual disability as such, that we commonly see in the environment itself. But sometimes we are not able to identify that, okay, they are having an issue, why so, and can it be cured? Matlab, we just try labeling it rather. So let's discuss is the label or the environment, how we can make it more friendly for such children as such. Right, so I'll be discussing about the characteristics, the prevalence, the causes, gender differences, as well as the treatment. So starting with the first disorder, that is the conduct disorder, wherein a child gets aggressive, defiant, and rule-violating behavior that is beyond his or her age expectation. We might see that, okay, a child is very aggressive. Your child in society, we say that आपकी ये बात, आपका बच्चा तो आपकी बात मानता ही नहीं है, कैसे आपने बिगाड़ दी इतनी छोटी सी उम्र में. Such dialogues are being given to a kid of 3 years baby, and we say that नहीं, हमने बिगाड़ा नहीं है, इसके बाकी के बच्चे तो एज के इसके हिसाब से काम करते हैं, बट यही पता नहीं क्यों नहीं मानता. ही इज लाइक, वो चोरी भी करता है, वो मारता भी है, उससे कोई गुस्से में बात करे तो चीजें भी उठा के फेंकता है, एनिमल्स को भी मारता है. Why so? It is not the problem of the child itself. It's exactly the conduct disorder that child is going through. And we try labeling it that the child is not able to understand, is behaving aggressively and defiantly. As well as it is more evidently seen in males as compared to females. Because females are basically ki nahi thode din baad dikhega. But yes, unme bhi, like in that cases also certain things are exactly evidently seen, but in later stages. But child, as the boy's parenting is done, more evidently it's seen in conduct disorder. More evidently in males, it is very easily recognized, we could say. So other than that, the gender differences, or we could say what are the basic causes that exactly happen? The genetic causes, the environmental causes, everything. To genetic, the biological mechanism, while exactly plays a very crucial role here. Not only that, the environmental issues like substance abuse, the neglect of the child being seen, that, okay, the child is not given the appropriate attention that the child needs in. That also leads to conduct disorder being developed in. Other than that, talking about the treatment, the ABA therapy, the CBT therapy, it is exactly as the behavior modification therapies are quite tried with the conduct disorder. Other than that, there is no medication required, but the psychological help and the psychiatric help is quite needed here. The second disorder that I'll be speaking about is the attention deficit or the hyperactivity disorder, commonly known as the ADHD. So we quite easily see that ADHD symptoms in kids, like we say नहीं है child बहुत भूलता बहुत है आपका बच्चा, या easily distract हो जाता है, they are not able to focus on a task, जब देखो कूदता रहता है क्लास में, बिल्कुल एक किसी को क्लास में बात खत्म करने ही नहीं देता, रिस्क लेता रहता है, किसी से डरता ही नहीं, अपनी टर्न के लिए वेट ही नहीं करता है। एंड क्यों बाकी बच्चे जबकि बैठ जाते हैं क्लास में, सिर्फ यही बच्चा ऐसा क्यों है जो उठता रहता है? एंड इसमें कुछ इशू तो नहीं है? ऐसे स्कूल में वी हियर सर्टेन थिंग्स लाइक दीज इन स्कूल्स आल्सो, wherein we say no, it is not exactly evidently seen in. Why do we say that it is not evidently seen in? Because every child is unique in its own self, and very evidently in school age is also the child are given ki psychiatrist or psychologist ko dikhaiye. We are evenly seen in ADHD and autism cases especially, because their normal schooling becomes quite evidently difficult for them. As said, obviously the gender role here more evidently plays. They are more prone basically is the males as compared to females. Other than that, no gender biases in case of severe and profound cases. Other than that, if I talk about the causes, the genetic causes are high, that is 50% chances of it. Environmental factors, that is the alcohol during the pregnancy, other issues like bipolar, autism, or other areas like depression also affects the child getting ADHD issues itself. Other than that, if I talk about the treatment, along with the CBT and the behavioral modification, certain medication like Ritalin is also advised by the psychiatrist, but it is all done under the psychiatric psychiatric invigilation itself. So coming to the autism part, so autistic child we say that नहीं, ये बच्चा आपकी तरह ADHD वाला तो ठीक है, communicate नहीं करता. कैसे communicate नहीं करता? ऐसे doubts we keep coming up that their child is not able to communicate or having difficulty. The behavior are quite repetitive and the sensitive. Agar like for example, if I gave that, okay, in a room I place the child and they say that lights are on, the child feel nahi. They might try avoiding those lights, or they are like, nahi, just ban karo, repeated behavior aa jayega. If they are given a new challenging task, if they are introduced something new in their task, they're like, nahi, I don't want to, I'll stick to this. They are very irritated at that moment. Or you'll say they try avoiding the eye contact, they try ki nahi, I should avoid this. If they are said that okay, they will definitely have less friends, they'll be like, nahi, I need my own isolation. It's not the cause of the child, it is basically that they're dealing with autism. Like in ADHD, as we discussed, that okay, the child is like, nahi, it is very hyper, and the school environment can easily see that nahi, this child is not letting other people speak, and directly they try to get in. But here in autism cases also, when the child is not able to make the eye contact, and it can be seen before the age of 3 years, the parents advise that please consult a psychiatrist or a psychologist as soon as possible. But here the medication is not their requirement of it, because in the comorbid cases like depression, ADHD, along with autism, the medications are given. Other than that, the causes for it are the genetic causes, the prenatal, that is the blue baby part, the genetic factors wherein it is being carried out through generations altogether, the brain development differences wherein the brain during the pregnancy time, the brain is not commonly developed fully, or it faces certain issue. But how exactly it is different from autism and ADHD? Autism, basically, it involves, they are not very hyperactive, they can be managed, and the behavioral modification, CBT, the environmental factors, if they are changed, certain things can be changed according to it. Whereas in ADHD, it is very difficult because of the hyperactive part that is being more involved. But other than that, with medication, that is also controllable, and people living with ADHD and autism are doing well in their streams once they grow up. So parents also have certain doubts that are they able to, or will they able to do certain things or not. So accordingly, the diagnosis is done, like screening tools are developed, the observation interviews are developed, and the developmental assessment is done, all under the supervision of their parents as well as a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So next, I'll be speaking about the intellectual disability. We commonly say, यार इस बच्चे की तो दिमाग ही नहीं लगता, ये बच्चों जैसा बिहेव करता है या करती है, सोसाइटी कहती है इसको तो बाहर फेंको, पता नहीं बर्डन है, So that is not a burden, that is the intellectual disability a child is dealing. जिसको हम पिछले जमाने में कहते थे, that is sub average intellectual functioning the child is facing in. कि अपने age appropriate they are not able to say कि जैसे एज तो बड़ी हो गई इसकी, कितना बड़ा हो गया लेकिन आज भी बच्चों जैसी हरकतें कर रहा है या कर रही है. So that is basically the child is facing the intellectual disability. That is the subtype wherein the child is like IQ, having an IQ of 50 to 69, wherein the child is able to develop the basic schooling or only able to do the vocational part, like the sewing part, or they are able to do certain basic tasks like the machinery repairing, or we could say they are able to make art. Other than that, the normal schooling is not that appropriate according to their age. Other than that, the moderate IQ, that is 35 to 49, wherein they need special schools. They cannot adjust in the basic school and they're not able to understand or go through their age appropriate classrooms that they're going through. Other than that, that is severe profound, wherein 20 to 35, 34 IQ level, wherein they are exactly the home assistants. They are not able to even attend a special school or basic schooling, जहाँ पे हम जिसमें कई बार बोल देते हैं कि बच्चा जिंदगी में क्या ही कर पाएगा. That is the severe and the profound case that we have in. So the intellectual disability is more commonly seen in male as compared to female, but it is not in severe profound cases. We do not say it is age biases. But yes, in mild and moderate cases, we say that more pronely they are males, but not because of the genetic causes, because being carried, obviously genetic causes plays a very huge role here. That is 75% role here. Not along with that, they have also been facing with issues like comorbid, like ADHD and autism, that comes along with intellectual disabilities also. Rather than we also say that, yes, these things come up with other issues as well. So what special considerations that we make for the assessment for these children? Because we don't say these children as normal, because according to their age, they are not normal. And how do we say that certain stages are exactly normal and certain stages are not exactly normal? So there are certain emotional assessment processes that are designed, like the referent, the intake, collect concerns, like all the history goals, the psychiatrists and psychologists will be taking. There are certain data interviews that are taken, the rating scales, the observations, the findings are then being evaluated, as well as formulating the diagnosis. Along with it, not only that, the feedback and the plans, that is the shared results and established next steps are being taken here in the assessment process. The disorders that we have discussed till now, there are certain tools or the diagnostic interviews that needs to be taken in, like the CSPRI, the Child Self-Report and Project Inventory, that evaluates the child's social and emotional functioning. The CBCL, the Connors Rating Scale, the EDOS IQ test, achievement test, behavioral checklist, and the WIS test are basically some of the diagnostic tools that the psychologist uses to assess the child is suffering from what disorder as such. For specifically autism, MCHAT, EDOS, ICA, ICLAIR, and Winland adaptive behavioral scales are being used to assess it. So not if the psychologist is completely doing all the work, we come up with what is the importance of the family environment. If the child is being diagnosed with, we have discussed that the child is being diagnosed, there are certain characteristics that are easily evidently seen in the child, and there are certain tools also to design these and checklist. So why are we exactly happening? What is the role of the importance of family environment? Because parents, after the school, the parents are the one who spend the most time with the children, wherein they can help in the clinical observation, parents interview, teacher reports. They know everything about the child, and they most prevalently are the first person that they have in. Here the family environment comes in, because not only the treatment plan exactly is completely worked with the psychologist, psychiatric treatment, but the role of the educators or the role of the parents here, wherein they try behavioral modification at home, that okay, accepting the child the way they are exactly plays a very crucial role in the child's overall development. So what are the effective communication listening to understand? So basically the early identification plays a very crucial role here, wherein early identification obviously leads to better outcome. And each child story is really unique. Assessment, if we talk about, is a collaborative tool and not a judgmental. There are certain sites like ASAP, CAD, Autism Speak, and NAMI that can be used, and quite evident parts that we can be, and we are sure that yeah, these are the fit parts, and you can easily assess it. Other than that, the build emotional security as well as improve social skills. So to support learning and classroom adjustment, these things are done. So how does the role of educator in emotional management takes place? So the educators, do they play a role? It helps in creating the safe and supportive environment. It also helps in creating children recognize the emotions. It helps in teaching the emotional regulation, modeling positive emotional behavior, encouraging social skills, or identifying the patterns, or collaborating with parents and counselors. Educators after parents plays a role wherein they try providing in. As such, educators can nurture the child that, okay, if you're not good at certain part of your life, there is no end to it. So as such, teachers play, or the educators play the emotional role here. To conclude, I would say the self-esteem and self-confidence only develops during the childhood, because whatever we go through, it is the later part altogether. As we develop in the Erikson stages of development, the child starts the trust, mistrust issues also from the childhood itself, and that later develops into adulthood. And that might even lead to anxiety, depression, or any other mental health disorder that can be easily identified later also. But in child, or the comorbid part that we speak about, that is the ADHD or the autism, these things can also come up. So the self-esteem and the self-confidence need to be worked upon, because that brings the child to identity in understanding their own abilities, or interpreting how they see the world and how world sees them altogether. So for the next time, I would like to throw up a question, that is, does your child feel irritable, sad, annoyed, or down easily? Or do they complain of headache, stomachache, or sickness? Or do they try avoiding certain situations a lot? Just try noticing the people around you, or even your own child, if they are facing certain issues, and try consulting your certain psychologists and psychiatrists as soon as possible to avoid the certain consequences later. Okay, with this, I'll be providing with the references, that is the ICD-10, DSM-5, Abnormal Psychology by James N. Butcher. This has been used in it. And to prepare in. Other than that, do you have any questions as of now? Okay, if you don't, so thank you very much for being such a patient audience. Thank you.